I am standing in the dim glow of an ICU room, listening to the slow rise and fall of the ventilator that keeps my daughter alive. The sound is steady, mechanical, too calm for what is happening inside me. The fluorescent lights wash over the pale walls and cold tiles, and for a moment I forget to breathe. My daughter lies unconscious beneath a tangle of tubes and soft blue blankets, her hair brushed back by the nurses so they could place the monitoring leads. Her wedding ring, a small silver band she cherished, reflects a sharp point of light each time the machines blink. Her name is Lena. She is 29. She used to laugh with her whole face, the kind of laugh that filled a room. Now her face is still, peaceful in a way that feels wrong, like a silence carved out of a life that had never learned to be quiet. I reach for her hand. It is warm, and that warmth is the only proof I have left that she is still here, still fighting. What breaks me is the empty chair beside her bed, the one that should be occupied by her husband. Dr. Nolan Mercer has not walked into this room for 3 days. 3 days of surgeries, uncertainty, and nights where I remained here until dawn, begging Lena to hold on. But Nolan, the man she married 2 years ago, isn't here. I know exactly where he is. My phone vibrates. I check the screen. A notification from a social media page appears, and as I open it, the world tilts. A yacht glides across open water under a setting sun. Champagne bottles crowd the table. Nolan stands at the railing, an arm wrapped around a woman with dark hair and a red swimsuit, both of them smiling widely, untouched by sorrow. The caption reads, "A perfect escape." Mira keeps me alive. I stare at the image, unable to look away. My daughter is lying here, drifting between worlds, while her husband celebrates with another woman. And the yacht they stand on, a sleek white vessel gleaming under the golden sky, is far beyond anything Nolan can realistically afford on his resident salary. I swallow the bitterness rising in my throat. My hands tremble around the phone, but I force myself to stay still. Lena needs stability, not anger. I place the phone in my coat pocket and lean closer to her. Her eyelashes flutter but do not open. The machines hum softly, indifferent. A knock at the door breaks the silence. When I turn, I see Nurse Claudia Reyes stepping inside. Claudia has been here longer than most physicians. More than 20 years of critical care work lines her face in gentle, determined creases. Her eyes are kind, but serious, as she closes the door behind her. "Mr. Hale, may I speak with you for a moment?" My chest tightens. Her tone carries weight, the kind that nurses use only when they need to prepare you for something. Something you will not want to hear. Of course I manage. She gestures toward the hallway. I give Lena one last look before following Claudia out into the quiet corridor where the night shift moves like shadows. Claudia waits until we are alone before lowering her voice. "There is something you need to know about your son-in-law." I feel the ground beneath me shift, the way it does right before a fall. Claudia holds a clipboard to her chest, her fingers tense. She takes a breath before showing me the page on top. It is a medical order. A DNR. Do not resuscitate. "Except I never signed this," I say. "I know," she replies. The signature looks nothing like mine. Then I look at the second line. Signed by spouse. Nolan Mercer. But the handwriting is flawless. Slow, careful, elegant loops and angles. Completely unlike Nolan's messy, hurried scrawl that I have seen on countless holiday cards and grocery lists. It is too perfect. Too controlled. And the timestamp reads 3:14 p.m. yesterday. I do not say anything as I pull out my phone and open the yacht photo again. The timestamp on that image is 3:18 p.m. The yacht was far from shore. Nolan could not have signed a hospital document and been there at the same time. Claudia sees my expression and nods once. her voice dropping to a whisper. There is more. Staff have overheard him making repeated calls, not medical calls, calls to insurance lines, asking what documents are needed for a death benefit claim. Asking how fast payouts can be processed. My stomach turns cold. And Mr. Hale, Claudia continues, her eyes glistening with restrained fear. We have also found attempts to change your visitation privileges. Someone requested restricted access for you effective tomorrow morning. Only immediate family allowed. The words hit like a blow. Immediate family. Meaning Nolan. Meaning me excluded. Claudia closes the chart and places a gentle hand on my arm. She needs you to know the truth. You must be prepared. Prepared for what, I ask, though part of me already knows. Her voice is almost a whisper. For whatever your son-in-law is planning next. The morning arrives like a slow bruise spreading across the sky. I reach the hospital just after sunrise, holding a coffee I never drink, my mind focused on one thing only: getting back to Lena. The automatic doors slide open, and for a brief moment I feel the same faint hope I carry every morning. The hope that her fingers might twitch, or her eyes might open, or she might whisper that she is still here. But when I reach the ICU entrance, a security guard steps in front of me. "Sir, I need to see your access badge." I hand it to him without hesitation. He scans it, frowns, scans again, and then steps aside as another guard approaches with a clipboard. "I'm sorry, Mr. Hale. Your authorization was revoked at midnight." I stare at him, unable to form words. Revoked. The badge I have used every day for weeks suddenly means nothing. There must be a mistake, I say. I have been here non-stop. Lena is my daughter. The second guard shakes his head carefully, as though speaking to someone fragile. The attending physician submitted an access revision. Only immediate family and authorized personnel may enter. You are listed as no longer permitted until further notice. Immediate family. The words echo again. In legal terms, that means spouse. Nolan. I feel the blood drain from my face. I try to step past them, but the guard raises a firm hand. "Sir, please! If you attempt to enter, we will have to notify hospital administration." I want to shout, to argue, to demand answers. But my years in the courtroom taught me something vital. When the opponent makes a move, the worst response is an uncontrolled one. So I swallow my outrage and step aside. I walk to the cafeteria, sit alone with untouched coffee, and stare at the steam curling upward like a fragile thread. Minutes pass, then an hour, then another. Every moment I sit outside that ICU feels like betrayal. Lena is lying there, fighting, and I cannot even reach her. At 2:30 in the afternoon, a familiar voice speaks my name. "Mr. Hale." I look up. Nurse Claudia stands in the doorway, still wearing her scrubs, even though her shift ended hours ago. Her badge sways as she approaches the table, her face carrying the weight of a decision she should not have to make. She sits across from me, glancing around as if expecting someone to overhear. Then she slides a manila folder onto the table. "I should not be doing this," she says. "But I cannot let this continue." I open the folder. Photocopies of Lena's medical records, chart updates, medication logs. Claudia points to a page. "Look at this entry. This request to transfer her to the long-term wing was placed at 11:02 p.m. last night." I read it. The signature line for the attending physician is blank. The electronic timestamp seems altered, a small but unmistakable discrepancy that only someone familiar with medical systems would notice. Then she shows me another page. Medication adjustment order. No countersignature. No physician ID. Just one name typed at the bottom. Nolan Mercer. I trace the letters with my eyes. The order increases sedative dosage. Unnecessarily high. Dangerously high. My throat tightens. Why would he do this? I ask quietly. Claudia glances toward the exit before answering. Some people try to make a patient appear worse than they are, sometimes for sympathy, sometimes for insurance reasons, sometimes for reasons I do not want to believe. She hesitates, then continues. There is something more. Yesterday afternoon, Dr. Mercer filed a petition with the hospital social services office. He claimed you showed signs of cognitive decline. He said you might not be fit to care for your grandson if something happens to Lena. The words hit me harder than the revoked badge. Cognitive decline, a claim meant to undermine my credibility. The man knows I am mentally sound. I passed a full evaluation months ago, yet he filed this. My hands grip the edge of the table until my knuckles ache. I ask Claudia one final question. Why are you helping me? She blinks, and I see her fighting back tears she refuses to shed on duty. Because your daughter is one of the few patients who still shows neural response. Her scans are not flat. She is fighting. And I have seen too many cases where families give up too soon. You have not. You deserve the truth. I breathe in deeply, steadying myself. Thank you, I say, quietly. Then I stand. From the inside pocket of my coat, I pull out a small card, a number I have not dialed in many years. A man who owes me a favor from a time when the law saved his life. I step into a quiet corner of the cafeteria and make the call. Marcus Trent, he answers. Who is this? It is Edward Hale, I reply. I need you. A long moment passes. Then his voice changes. Tell me everything. Marcus works fast. It has always been his strength. By the next afternoon, he calls and tells me to meet him in a quiet corner of a small, rarely used public library near the hospital. The place is nearly empty. A faint smell of old paper lingers in the air, and afternoon light filters in through tall windows, turning the dust into a soft golden haze. Marcus sits at the far end of a wooden table with a laptop and a thin stack of printed paperwork. He looks older than the last time I saw him, but his eyes still carry that sharp, relentless intelligence that made him one of the best investigators I ever worked with in my legal days. Edward, he says calmly, you were right to call me. He turns the laptop toward me. This is the part where things get uncomfortable. I brace myself. The first page displays a summary of financial transactions tied to Nolan Mercer. Purchases, withdrawals, transfers. At first, nothing seems unusual. A few grocery charges, work-related purchases. But then the pattern changes. There is a hotel receipt from a luxury oceanfront resort, a jewelry transaction from an upscale boutique, a charge from a private dining club that requires annual membership. Multiple transfers between small private accounts. Then I see the totals. Nolan has spent more in 6 months than his annual income. Marcus scrolls down, revealing high-end purchases. Designer watches, custom suits, restaurant bills large enough to feed an entire department. He's living well beyond his means, I say quietly. Much more than that, Marcus replies. He's living on money that is not his. He taps the next page. This is what concerned me. The transfers did not come from his primary account. They came from accounts in someone else's name. Accounts that looked dormant for years. I freeze when I see the name. Lena Hale. Not Lena Mercer, her maiden name. Where did he get access to this? I ask. Marcus opens another window on the screen, displaying digital timestamps and system logs, most likely through hospital terminals. He's not just a resident, Edward. He has administrative-level access. He used his hospital login to access financial networks. It is criminal, and it leaves a fingerprint. My jaw tightens. A long, slow burn begins in my chest. Someone hacked Lena's older investment accounts, accounts she rarely touched because she planned to save them for Caleb someday. The dates of the transfers collide with the period when Nolan first began distancing Lena from her friends, when he insisted he should handle all financial matters in the household, when he told her she needed to trust him. Marcus switches to the next screen. There, messages appear in a thread between Nolan and an unfamiliar contact named Mira Lowell. That name strikes me like a bell, the same name on the yacht photos. Marcus reads aloud a message time-stamped 3 weeks before Lena's accident. Funds moved. Timeline still on track. Stop worrying. Another reply from Nolan. Insurance must be finalized. I want no mistakes. After that, we disappear for a while. A cold shiver moves down my arms. Disappear. With who? With Mira. With stolen money. With an exit plan. Marcus quietly opens the metadata from the yacht photos. I watch as he highlights the GPS coordinates embedded in the picture files. They reveal the exact time and place the photos were taken. The location is far offshore. The timestamp aligns perfectly with the hour Lena was undergoing emergency surgery after her car crash. The crash that we now know was not an accident. My throat dries as Marcus continues his rundown. There is also encrypted communication. I have not cracked all of it yet. But one line stands out. He clicks a video file, audio only. Nolan's voice is unmistakable. We cannot wait any longer. Once the certification clears, everything is ours. Certification. Insurance certification. The thought sickens me. Marcus leans back, letting the full impact settle. Edward, I do not say this lightly. This was not a marriage problem, not infidelity, not emotional weakness. This looks like a coordinated financial and insurance scheme. And your daughter was an obstacle. The words hang heavily between us. I remember Lena's laughter, her love for teaching, the way she would bring Caleb to my house with paint on his hands and apologies on her lips. A gentle life, a trusting soul, one that never understood cruelty because she never possessed it. I close my eyes and feel a raw ache that has no shape. Marcus continues. And there is more. He shows me a second set of logs, hospital access records. Nolan entered a restricted administrative network less than 2 hours before Lena's DNR was filed. The timestamps are exact. He opened files related to end-of-life directives and insurance verification processes. Then he logged into a database tied to patient demographics. He was preparing, Marcus says simply. Preparing for the next step. I open my eyes. What next step? Marcus hesitates. Then he plays Nolan's final message to Mira. When this ends, we both walk away with everything. No loose ends, no risks, no one left to question anything. My breath catches. No one left. Marcus closes the laptop slowly. Edward, I think he intended to make sure Lena could never wake up. A cold silence fills the library. My hands shake as I gather the papers. This is no longer suspicion, no longer fear. This is evidence. And now I know what must be done. The next morning feels heavier than the one before. The air seems thicker, as if the world itself is reluctant to face what is coming. I arrive at the hospital before sunrise once again, but this time I avoid the ICU entrance. Instead, I take a long, quiet hallway toward a back staircase rarely used by visitors. At the landing, my phone buzzes with a number I do not recognize. When I answer, a trembling voice speaks. Mr. Hale, this is Nurse Helen Morrow. I work the night shift with Claudia. I need to talk to you immediately. My chest tightens. Is something wrong with Lena? No, her condition is unchanged. But something happened last night. Something you need to know. Her voice wavers with fear and urgency, and I step into an alcove to listen. I saw Dr. Mercer come into the ICU at 2 in the morning. He was not scheduled. He walked straight to your daughter's room carrying a small vial in his hand. A cold current runs through my body. What did he say when you confronted him? He told me it was routine medication. But Mr. Hale, I have been doing this for almost 15 years. No routine medication is carried without labels. No routine dosage is delivered without an entry in the chart. And there was no record of it. None. She swallows, and I hear the click of her anxiety on the line. I stopped him from administering it. I asked him for the medication ID. He refused to answer. I called the charge nurse, but before they arrived, he left the unit. Where's the vial now? Hospital security transferred it to the lab for urgent analysis. Claudia insisted. I thank her. And for a moment I cannot speak. The image of Nolan standing over Lena in the dark, with an unmarked vial, sears itself into my mind like a brand. When the call ends, I stand beneath the flickering hallway light and breathe slowly, willing myself to remain steady. Years of legal training taught me how to absorb shock without breaking, but this is different. This is my daughter. My child. A second call arrives barely an hour later. This time it is Marcus. Edward, we need to meet. I drive to him immediately. We meet in the same library where we reviewed financial logs, but today Marcus looks visibly unsettled. He lays out a new folder before speaking. I pulled the accident reconstruction report you asked for. I also hired a private forensic mechanic. He examined the wreck from storage. I can already feel the truth pressing down on me before Marcus even opens the folder. He sets the photos on the table. I see Lena's car wrapped around a tree, the front crumpled inward, like crushed foil. But it is the close-up photographs that strike me hardest. A brake line, sliced with surgical precision. A narrow blade cut so clean it could not be caused by wear or chance. This was not a mechanical failure, Marcus says. Someone tampered with her car. He slides another photo forward. The tire pressure gauge reading from the day of the crash, extremely low. Too low to be accidental, but not flat enough to be noticed unless someone was looking closely. A car with compromised brake lines and intentionally lowered tire pressure on a road with sharp bends. Anyone driving it would lose control. I lean forward, my hands tightening around the photo edges. Whoever did this wanted the crash to look like a tragic accident, Marcus says quietly. Not a deliberate act. I try to speak and fail. My pulse hammers in my ears. The crash was the beginning. The unmarked vial was the follow-up. The DNR was the final safeguard. The entire plan unfolds in my mind with chilling clarity. Nolan needed Lena gone. The door behind us creaks. A librarian passes by, oblivious to the devastation spread across our table. I gather the papers and close my eyes for a moment, suppressing the swell of rage rising in my chest. Then my phone rings. It is Claudia. The lab results came back, she says. I brace myself. The substance in the vial was a concentrated paralytic agent, fast-acting. It would have shut down her breathing within minutes. It leaves minimal trace in the bloodstream unless specifically tested for. I lower myself into the chair as a wave of cold dread washes through me. Claudia continues, her voice trembling. It would have looked like a natural decline from her injuries. No one would have questioned it. For a moment, the room feels painfully silent. The soft whisper of pages turning somewhere in the distance is the only sound. But then Claudia adds something that breaks whatever resolve I have left. The sedative level in her bloodstream rose unexpectedly last night. It did not reach a lethal level because the dose was interrupted, but it was higher than what the chart ordered. Meaning he may have given her something before he was stopped. Meaning that he had already begun. I sit in that library chair, surrounded by documents detailing a conspiracy so cruel and calculated it defies belief. The brake line, the investment accounts, the insurance plan, the DNR, the unmarked vial. Each piece falls into place, painting a truth no father should ever face. Nolan did not simply neglect his wife. He tried to end her life. And now, for the first time since this nightmare began, I feel something sharper than fear. Resolve. I stand up slowly and look at Marcus. This ends now. I do not drive back to the hospital immediately. Instead, I sit in my car in the far corner of the parking lot, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles ache. The truth circles me like a storm with no end. The brake tampering, the stolen funds, the forged documents, the unmarked vial with a paralytic agent. And a man who once vowed to love my daughter standing at the center of it all. I watch the sun sink behind distant buildings, the last light bleeding into twilight. My decision forms slowly, solidifying like stone. It is time to face him. I wait until the evening shift begins. Less traffic, fewer eyes. The hospital parking garage is a maze of concrete pillars and dim yellow lights. I know Nolan's routine from weeks of observing him, his break window, his preferred parking level, his habit of leaving early when he thinks no one is paying attention. I station myself near level 3, between two pillars, where shadows swallow most of the light. The air smells of oil and dust. My heartbeat feels too loud, too deliberate. At 7:42 p.m., I hear footsteps. Nolan's figure emerges from the stairwell, his posture stiff, his scrubs wrinkled, and his hair disheveled in a way that suggests no real sleep for days. He walks hurriedly toward his car, glancing over his shoulder with an anxiety that tells me he knows pieces of his world are coming apart. I step forward. Nolan. He stops mid-stride, freezes, then slowly turns toward me. Edward. His voice is clipped, defensive. You are not allowed on this level. You're not even allowed in the ICU anymore. Care to explain how you got past the guards? I hold his gaze, refusing to let emotion cloud my voice. We need to talk. There is nothing to discuss. There is everything to discuss. He takes a step back. I take one forward. His eyes dart toward his car as if he wants to run, but he does not. Cowards rarely flee unless cornered. I pull out the folder Marcus prepared and open it calmly. Your financial statements. I show him the transactions from the dormant accounts under Lena's maiden name, transfers matching his expensive habits, luxury hotels, private dinners, jewelry, yacht payments. His jaw tightens. You have no right. I have every right, I say sharply. You stole from her, from my daughter, from your own wife. He tries to smirk, but the expression collapses halfway. Nolan, where did all the money go? He swallows. Investments? I shake my head. Let me guess. You call a jewelry store an investment, and a yacht broker, and an offshore transfer, and a private club where you spent $2,000 in one night. His lips press into a thin line. Then I pull out the second set of documents. Break line analysis, photos, mechanical reports, the cuts made with a surgical instrument. He steps back as if struck. You think I had something to do with her accident? I raise the next page. Your login to the hospital administrative system 2 hours before the DNR was filed. The forged signature. The timestamp that contradicts your yacht photos. His face pales. That does not prove. And this. I show him a printed copy of his messages with Mira Lowell, the encryption keys Marcus cracked, plans for an exit, mentions of insurance certification, a timeline. He stares at the sheet as if it might dissolve. You have no idea what you are talking about, he whispers. You do not understand what Lena wanted. Lena wanted to live, I say. She wanted to raise Caleb. She wanted her life, and you wanted her money. His hands tremble. I step closer, lowering my voice. And then there is last night. The unmarked vial. The paralytic agent. The dose you almost administered before being stopped. He blinks rapidly, breathing shallow, chest rising and falling like a trapped animal. That vial was prescribed. It was not. It had no label, no physician order, no signature. And the lab identified the compound. He opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. The bravado he always carried evaporates, leaving only a hollow shell of arrogance and fear. Then I reveal the final blow. Your messages with Mira included a warning. She told you federal attention was rising. She told you to move funds before the window closed. She told you loose ends had to be removed. He stumbles backward until he hits the side of his car. Enough, he whispers. His voice cracks. You do not know everything. Then tell me, I say, stepping closer. Tell me why my daughter's brake line was cut. Tell me why you forged a DNR. Tell me why you were holding a vial that could stop her heart. Tell me why a woman who loved you is lying unconscious while you drink champagne miles away with someone else. Sweat beads on his forehead. His eyes flicker around the garage as though searching for someone to save him. Finally, he breaks. It was supposed to be simple, he mutters. No one was supposed to get hurt. She was not supposed to fight this long. My hands clench involuntarily. You were going to kill her. He looks away, shame twisting his features. I already reported everything, I say quietly. The chief medical officer has the files. Investigators are reviewing your access logs. They have the lab report on the vial. His eyes widen in panic. You told them. Everything. He sways, gripping the side mirror of his car to steady himself. You destroyed me, he whispers. You destroyed yourself. And as he stands trembling beneath the dim garage lights, I realize the truth. His facade is gone. His confidence shattered. His escape collapsing. And this confrontation is only the beginning. The confrontation in the parking garage lingers in my mind long after I walk away from Nolan, leaving him shaking beside his car. I expect him to run, to lash out, to attempt some kind of counterattack. But instead, the hospital moves first. At 7 the next morning, I receive a call from the chief medical officer, Dr. Laurel Kent. Her tone is professional, measured, but with an edge that tells me she has spent the entire night reviewing the documents I delivered. Mr. Hale, she says, we are convening an emergency ethics committee meeting within the hour. I need you present. Her words are crisp, final, the kind of tone administrators use only when the foundation of their institution is under threat. When I arrive, the atmosphere is electric. Administrators whisper in hallways. Nurses cluster near the doors, tight-lipped but alert. The ripple effect of Nolan's exposure has spread through the staff like a current. Dr. Kent motioned me into a conference room where a half-dozen physicians sit, including legal counsel for the hospital. We have reviewed the logs, she begins. The DNR irregularities, the unauthorized access to emergency directives, the medication discrepancies. We also received the lab report on the vial retrieved from your daughter's room. A heavy silence follows as they digest the meaning of those words. We cannot ignore the seriousness of these findings. Effective immediately, Dr. Nolan Mercer has been suspended, pending full investigation. My breath leaves me in a controlled exhale. One obstacle removed, one layer of protection restored. But the storm does not stop there. A journalist from a local investigative network somehow gets a copy of the yacht photos and the initial allegations. By mid-afternoon, headlines appear online. Hospital resident under investigation, amid claims of financial misconduct and patient endangerment. I read the article only once, but the comments beneath it reveal the raw outrage spreading through the public. People ask how a man could abandon his wife in critical condition. They ask where he got the money for the yacht. They ask why he appears so carefree while his spouse is fighting for her life. The story goes viral before the evening news even airs. Reporters gather outside the hospital entrance with cameras, waiting for a statement. Nolan does not appear. Instead, he stays hidden, refusing to answer calls, refusing to speak. And when he does emerge later that night, it is only because Dr. Kent summons him to her office. Security escorts him out of the ICU wing and informs him he is not permitted to practice in the building until further notice. He leaves with his head down, his shoulders hunched, drowning in the weight of his own unraveling. But justice is only beginning. A phone call from Marcus comes that night. "Edward, the federal investigators are ready. They have enough to issue warrants for both Nolan and Mira." The words settle into me like cold steel. The next morning, agents arrive at the hospital requesting access to Nolan's on-site office space. They seize his computer, his locker, and his administrative login records. Then they move to his residence. Boxes of documents are removed. Devices, external drives, items hidden behind false panels in the closet. The deeper they search, the darker the truth becomes. Yet there is still one thing I must do. Something that terrifies me more than confronting Nolan ever could. I must ensure Caleb's safety. I walk into the family court building I once knew better than my own home. The halls smell the same. The floors echo the same. But this time, I am not the one holding the gavel. I am the one seeking protection. I file an emergency custody petition with my attorney, presenting every piece of evidence related to Nolan's actions: the forgery, the tampering, the financial theft, the attempted administration of a paralytic agent, the insurance inquiries, the unexplained wealth, the messages with Mira Lowell. The judge agrees to hear the case the same afternoon. When the hearing begins, the courtroom fills quickly. Nurses arrive to testify. Administrators sit in the gallery, their faces tight with tension. And then the door opens. Nolan walks in flanked by his attorney, pale and exhausted. His arrogance is gone. His posture is defeated. He looks like a man trying to hold together pieces of a collapsing identity. The judge begins by addressing hospital representatives. Claudia stands. Helen stands. Both testify with a calm, devastating clarity that leaves the courtroom breathless. Claudia describes the forged DNR, the altered timestamps, the unauthorized orders. Helen describes the early morning incident with the unmarked vial, the way Nolan avoided her questions, the withheld information in the patient chart. Their words carve through any defense Nolan might hope for. But then Marcus is called as a witness. He presents encrypted messages, financial logs, GPS metadata, transaction histories. Every piece connects seamlessly to the next, forming a picture no one can dismiss. And then, in a stunning twist, the federal agent in charge of the investigation enters with one more revelation. We have obtained recordings from a cooperating witness. I feel my heart thud once in my chest. Mira has begun to talk. Her recorded conversations reveal not just coordination, but intent. She planned to leave the country. She planned to collect a share. She planned to disappear with him. And Nolan agreed. When the judge finally speaks, her voice echoes with nearly palpable gravity. Given the severity of the evidence, I am granting Mr. Hale temporary custody of Caleb Mercer, effective immediately. Dr. Mercer's parental rights are hereby suspended, pending the outcome of criminal proceedings. The gavel falls with the weight of justice itself. Caleb runs into my arms in the hallway, small and frightened, but safe. For the first time in weeks, I feel a breath of something I thought I had lost. Hope. But I know the storm is not finished. The final reckoning is still ahead. The morning after the custody ruling, sunlight falls through my living room blinds in pale stripes. Caleb sleeps curled on the couch beside a small, stuffed dinosaur, his thumb tucked under his cheek, unaware of the chaos that still swirls outside. For the first time, the house feels like a refuge again, a place where a child can breathe. where safety exists, but safety is temporary. The storm outside continues. At 9 a.m., Marcus calls. They found her, he says without preamble. Mira. My pulse quickens. Where? At a private terminal. She tried to board a small charter flight headed toward a country with no extradition agreement. Federal agents intercepted her at the gate. She had several suitcases, one containing over $50,000 in cash, and she had a laptop. One she tried to wipe, but not fast enough. A quiet dread rolls through me, not for what remains hidden, but for what will soon be revealed. What was on it? I ask. Marcus hesitates, searching for the right words. Everything. By the time I arrive at the federal building later that afternoon, the investigation room is a hive of activity. Agents move briskly between desks, carrying folders and hard drives. The air hums with tension, but also with the satisfaction of a case tightening like a net. Agent Samuel Rourke greets me with a handshake that feels like steel. Mr. Hale, we appreciate your cooperation. We knew the case was serious, but after reviewing the recovered data, I can say this plainly. It is worse than we expected. He leads me into a briefing room where 3 evidence boxes sit on a table. Inside the first box are printed transcripts of messages between Nolan and Mira. Some are encrypted. Others are voice memos automatically saved when their connection failed. One memo plays on the speaker. We have to follow through, Nolan says, his voice tense. If the accident does not finish it, the hospital will. We do not need to wait much longer. Hearing his voice speak so casually about the potential death of my daughter turned something inside me hollow and sharp. The second box contains financial ledgers, account numbers, offshore routing histories. Mira kept detailed records of every illegal transfer. She had not been planning a partnership. She had been planning leverage. If Nolan betrayed her, she wanted proof. She kept everything, Rourke says. She was preparing to use it against him. Then he gestures to the third box. And this is where the case becomes indisputable. Inside are photographs, not of yachts or dinners or jewelry, but of the hours immediately following Lena's crash. Images taken on Mira's phone. Her camera lens captured Nolan's expression as he read the first emergency message about Lena's condition. He was smiling. Agent Rourke studies me carefully. I keep my face composed, but inside something fractures deeper than words. We also recovered messages sent minutes later. He continues. Mira congratulated him, said it looked convincing, said the timing aligned perfectly. My breath leaves in a cold rush. The accident had been staged. They celebrated it. A soft knock sounds at the door. Another agent enters and hands Rourke a folder. The arrest team is in place, she says. Rourke closes the folder. We have confirmed Dr. Mercer's location. He is at his cousin's house. He packed 2 suitcases. He's attempting to liquidate assets. The warrant is active. I nod, unable to speak. For months, I lived in a fog of dread, suspicion, and helplessness. Now, finally, the truth is surfacing with the force of a rising tide. Rourke places a steady hand on my arm. Mr. Hale, when you stand against someone willing to destroy their own family, you need to know something. Most people crumble under pressure, but you did not. You fought, and because of that, your daughter has a chance, and your grandson is safe. He steps back and signals to the agents. Let's bring him in. It takes less than an hour. Footage arrives on a live feed. Nolan emerges from the front door of his cousin's house with his hands raised. His hair is unkempt, his face gaunt, eyes darting wildly as federal officers surround him. He tries to speak, to argue, to gesture for sympathy. None comes. A pair of handcuffs close around his wrists. As cameras capture the moment, Nolan looks smaller than I have ever seen him. The polished confidence he once wore like a second skin is gone. the arrogance stripped away. He looks like a man staring into the depth of consequences he never believed he would face. When they place him in the back of the transport vehicle, I feel something unexpected. Not satisfaction, not triumph, something simpler. Relief. Later, at the detention center, investigators show me the rest of the digital evidence. A second forged DNR, drafts of insurance claims, travel tickets for 2, a list of offshore contacts, and in one final digital file, a message Nolan recorded for Mira, but never sent. After this, there will be no loose ends. It is chilling, but it is also conclusive. In the days that follow, the case becomes national news. Medical ethics violations, insurance conspiracy, attempted homicide, financial fraud, endangerment of a minor. It is all there, laid bare. And through it all, I return every day to the hospital. I sit beside Lena's bed. I hold her hand. I speak to her in calm tones. I read to her. I wait. Because now, finally, the threat is gone. And the last battle ahead is not against a man. It is against time. The ICU looks different now. The lights feel softer. The air feels lighter. Or perhaps it is simply that the shadow Nolan cast over this place has finally lifted. It has been 3 weeks since his arrest. 3 weeks since federal agents carried boxes of evidence out of his cousin's house. 3 weeks since Mira agreed to testify. And in that time, I have kept vigil at Lena's bedside every day. This morning, as I walk down the corridor with Caleb holding my hand, the faintest sense of hope stirs in me. It is quiet at first, barely noticeable, like a bird fluttering its wings in a distant tree. But it is there. We reach her room. Caleb climbs into the chair beside her, clutching a small picture he drew of the 3 of us holding hands beneath a bright orange sun. He sets it gently on her bedside table. I touch her hand, the way I have done every day since this nightmare began. Her skin is warm, her breathing steady, her heart strong. The neurologist, Dr. Avery Sloan, enters quietly. She studies the monitors and reviews Lena's latest scans. Something in her expression changes, softens. "Mr. Hale," she says, "I want to show you something." She pulls up an image on the screen. Neural activity, clear, distinct, more pronounced than last week. Your daughter is showing significant improvement, more than we anticipated. I swallow hard. What does it mean? It means she is fighting her way back. Caleb looks up at me with wide eyes. Does that mean Mommy will wake up? Dr. Sloan kneels beside him, her voice gentle. It means she is getting closer. Hours pass in the quiet hum of the ICU. I tell Lena stories from her childhood. I describe how Caleb has started drawing stars on everything he owns. I read to her from her favorite novel, a habit we shared when she was a girl. And though her eyes remain closed, her fingers twitch faintly when I place her hand in mine. Then, one afternoon, it happens. A subtle movement, a shift in her eyelids. I freeze. "Lena, sweetheart, can you hear me?" Her lashes tremble again. A small sound escapes her throat, soft and hoarse. Caleb stands, eyes wide. "Mommy." Her eyelids flutter open and she blinks, confused by the bright light above her. Her gaze drifts slowly across the room before settling on me. "Dad." Her voice is no more than a whisper, but it shatters the silence with the force of a miracle. Caleb begins to cry. I lean closer, brushing her hair gently away from her forehead. "I am here, sweetheart. I am right here." She tries to speak again, but emotion overtakes her. Tears slip down her cheeks. I press her hand between mine. "You are safe," I say softly. "Caleb is safe, and you are coming back to us." Later that evening, Dr. Sloan explains Lena's path forward. Physical therapy, cognitive rehabilitation, long months of recovery. But her prognosis is good, better than anyone expected. She woke because she still had something to return to, Dr. Sloan says. People to return to. I nod, unable to speak. As Lena grows stronger, the criminal trial begins. I do not attend every session, but I attend enough to hear the evidence spoken aloud in a courtroom. The financial crimes, the forged documents, the calculated sabotage of her car, the attempt at poisoning, the recorded messages, the offshore accounts. The detailed plan Nolan and Mira crafted as if my daughter's life were nothing more than an obstacle to their ambition. Nolan sits shackled at the defense table. He avoids my eyes every time. His face is thinner, his once confident posture replaced by a slump that suggests he understands exactly what awaits him. Mira testifies in full. Her cooperation earns her a reduced sentence, but her words seal his fate. She describes the planning, the money, the intent. The two of them sitting on that yacht celebrating what they believed would be the beginning of their new life. The verdict arrives without hesitation. Guilty on all counts. The judge sentences Nolan to a lengthy prison term, ensuring he will not see freedom for decades. And with that, the final door closes. When the last hearing ends, I walk out of the courthouse into a warm breeze. Caleb runs ahead of me down the steps, laughing as he goes. And for the first time since this ordeal began, I let myself breathe deeply. In the weeks that follow, Lena is transferred to a rehabilitation center. She gains strength slowly but steadily. She laughs with Caleb. She remembers moments. She learns to stand, then walk, then speak more fluidly. Every milestone is a gift I never thought I would receive. One evening, months later, she sits beside me on a small outdoor terrace. The sun sets behind the horizon, casting the sky in colors reflective of a life renewed. "Dad," she says quietly, "thank you." For what? For not giving up on me. I look at her, at the daughter who fought her way back through darkness no one should ever face. "Sweetheart," I say, "fathers do not give up. Not on their children. Not ever." She rests her head on my shoulder, and for a moment everything feels whole again. That night, as Caleb sleeps and Lena rests, I sit alone and reflect on what this journey has taught me. Protection is not simply love. It is action. It is vigilance. It is refusing to look away when the truth becomes unbearable. It is standing between the innocent and the cruel, with nothing but determination and evidence. And above all, it is understanding that family is not preserved by silence, but by courage. We survived because we chose to fight. And because love, when defended fiercely, can overcome even the darkest intentions.